listening to the Underdog Sports NFL Show with host Chris Horwedel and Mario Hines. Brought to you by Underdog Sports. Each week, Chris and Mario welcome current NFL stars and discuss the biggest news from around the football world.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Underdog Sports NFL Show. I'm Chris Horwedel, joined by Mario Hines. Mario, I'm interested in learning from you today, and a couple of different things. The first of which is a subject we touched upon on Twitter earlier. Sell me on an air fryer.
Oh, I am the perfect guy for the job. Okay, so if you are looking for something that can make you quick, quality, healthy food, You're
define healthy.
Define healthy, just not dripping in oil and extra fats, but like you like your fried tastes, with your pan-seared taste, and you can't get away from the oil. The air fryer's quick, easy to preheat. That's one of the things. Like, it has a couple of things that you wouldn't expect, like a preheating process or like lightly coating the pan. Depending on which one you get, I think the higher end versions have a better non-stick quality. If you go a little bit cheaper, you'll probably have to just spray some Pam on the surface. But it's been great. I've tried cod, I've done wings, I've done salmon, I've done fries. It's been I'm pleased.
Do you get a crispy exterior?
You can if you do add a small amount of oil, like coat whatever you want to be crispy in oil, and you can get a nice brown, and it's pretty much like to taste or to your preference. They given it the one I have gave in a recipe book, and it's been really helpful. And now I'm just scouring the internet to find even more crazy things to make. And now I think my next project is a crunch wrap a la.
God, you're killing me. Dude, I'm trying really hard to eat well. And then I go on Twitter and you're posting about homemade crunch wraps. And it's just killing me. You're killing me. And I don't think that's going to be the case. And I hope for the legacy of my life that it is not. But oh man, at some point I will get there. I don't know. I've read very mixed reviews on the air fryer. Some people love them. Some people just think they're kind of useless. So it's interesting to get your take. And I've read before, and you can tell me whether or not this is fact or fiction, that, and maybe this is what you alluded to earlier, but even in the air fryer, you're supposed to use a little bit of oil.
Right. So this is like some of the things where the first time I kind of was like, add oil based on your preference for the recipes or whatever. And I did the fish thing, and the first test run didn't come out. I mean, they cooked. Don't get me wrong. Nothing ever came out uncooked, but it just wasn't the taste you're looking for until you start to really. I actually had to YouTube, like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? And so it was, people have to spray some Pam or lightly dip in oil. So it reduces the oil greatly. It reduces smells. Like if you don't like your house smelling like fried foods, it reduces the smell a lot. But there are, like, if you think you're just gonna buy one and just get to air frying, that's not the case, man. It's gonna take some tinkering with to find like your happy spot.
Okay, so it's a trial and error thing, but you would advise it be for the ease and health benefits, or
I would ease, definitely, especially if you get into a routine, if your stuff's all thought out and you're ready to go. It cuts down on time, things that you would typically, like if you have to go from fried to baked, it cuts down the time of that, and then things still taste really delicious.
How is it better than a conventional oven? I feel like we're doing an infomercial.
It does feel like that. I think the difference between that and a conventional oven also is like kind of time and air fryer technology. I don't know. The box says air fryer technology, and that is something that's going to sell me every time.
Well, look, the box would never lie to you, so I'm going to take the box at its word, and that there is proprietary air fryer technology involved in all of this. Hey, if you like it, you like it. Whatever works for you, works for you. I was I was looking at ESPN as I was getting ready for this show, and a headline grabbed my attention, and boy, is it misleading. I see a headline that looks like Leonard Fournette leaves team, but it's actually LSU running back Leonard Fournette leaves the team. Leonard Fournette's younger brother.
Okay, that was, I mean, maybe still news somewhere, but not the shocking embrace that we would typically get if it was, I guess, controversially the best player on Jacksonville right now.
Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. Who is the best Jacksonville Jaguar? I mean, obviously, Gardner Minshew is number one, followed by Nick Foles. But who takes that? Who takes that number 2 spot? That really is a great question. Well, I mean, it's got to be Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, so I was kind of the controversy, I guess, would be: are we counting Jalen at this point?
Okay,
because when they're both in the lineup, I think. I mean, Leonard's pretty consistent, man. There was the fumble thing for a little bit, but Leonard is consistent. But Jalen Ramsey, I think, when he's on top of his game, the top of his game, I think he's better than Leonard when he's on his.
So in terms of production this year, I would say Calais Campbell's probably been better than Leonard Fournette. And in terms of would you take him over if you were starting a team, I think I would probably take Miles Jack over Fournette as well.
Miles Jack, has really, got over the injury and done what we thought he would do. So that's a good point. I haven't paid close enough attention to Campbell. Obviously, what he's done in the league precedes him, but I haven't paid close attention. So that is really the way that defense played last week. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but the way that defense played last week would definitely make me think that he's rising to the occasion.
Well, Campbell, 3 sacks on the season. All of them came in the Tennessee game on the 19th, the third game of the season, but has been consistent otherwise. Yeah, like you said, we will get to the Jaguars in a bit, but let's talk about the other Jaguar news, I guess. Shad Khan says the team's not looking to trade Jalen Ramsey.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Tom Coughlin is like, is this a middle finger? Is this the stubborn thing that you're gonna play for us in the old guard versus the new guard, and we're just seeing like the immovable object versus the unstoppable force of cultures clashing. But I think it's messed up only because what do you think you're gonna get out of Jalen Ramsey if once he's healthy? But do you think you're gonna get 100% mentally behind doing his job?
I certainly don't. I think he is checked out 100%. I think he is looking for an opportunity to bolt at the first chance, and he does not want to play for this football team. And I think that's evident by the fact that we've had 6 different reasons why he couldn't practice or play over the last couple of weeks.
Right, it's actually starting to become what's the excuse this week? We could actually almost do probably a Hollywood Squares or something to figure out what is going to be the reason why he doesn't play, and it's warranted because he was very, I think, calmly vocal about not wanting to play again. I think the way he's handled it hasn't been what we would actually expect. The announcement is probably typical of what we would think someone like Jalen Ramsey or Jalen Ramsey specifically, but how he's handled it and just being calm and saying nothing has changed. I think we're just on different sides of the earth with this, and it's just time to move on. He's not really, throwing anyone under the bus or making a huge scene.
Yeah, I really wanted this deal to get done this week. I would like to have had Jalen Ramsey in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform come this Sunday, especially with the injuries to Avonte Maddox, who magically is week to week. I would have guessed IR after what happened to him via the friendly fire hit of Andrew Sendejo. And also, who else? Obviously, Jalen Mills is out. Darby's out. It's just a very depleted Philadelphia secondary. So I would have loved to have Ramsey there, but I don't know. I guess if they manage to win games, then Shad Khan's going to think that maybe things will turn around and maybe Ramsey will be willing to stay. Right.
I mean, I guess if you're the Jaguars, this is the only hope you have left if you're a front office, if you're anyone with any, insider info or hope. It's just wait it out, maybe wait and see, and there's a change of heart. But I don't know how well that's gone over in the past. If we could check the history on just making sure a guy plays. I mean, Melvin Gordon is kind of the closest thing, but it was more contract. And I don't even think Melvin was at odds with the organization. He wants to play for them. He just wanted to get paid. So, yeah, I don't think anyone that demanded a trade and someone said, no, we're not going to trade you. Let's wait this out and get amicable again. I don't think we've ever seen something like that.
Well, I can give you an example in a different sport. A long time ago, in a world far, far away, the National Basketball Association, one Kobe Bryant demanded a trade from the Los Angeles Lakers. And that just sort of faded away and, played multiple more years there for better or worse for the Lakers win-loss record. But, it is. This doesn't seem like it's going to end well. It seems like the sooner both sides get on with things, the better it will be for both sides.
I think so too. There's a few non-comparisons to that awesome comparison that you just brought up, and actually great one to pull out of the pocket. I just don't see Jalen falling into the mystique of, well, I don't mind being a Laker. Like that's not what you think of when you think of the Jacksonville Jaguars, something that will keep you there behind the scenes, or any promises that could be made. So yeah, I think the sooner the better. I wouldn't mind if he got sent over to you guys. It'd be really interesting. We already have our win. The Lions already have their win against you, so I don't mind at all, and would like to see. I really want to see you guys bounce back and take over the East. So yeah.
Well, hey, I was. You never know when that next game is going to happen. I had Nick Nesperjani of Yacht Rock Review, an awesome cover band on Underdog this week. Nick's a big Packers fan, and I mentioned to him that good luck to the Packers the rest of the way now that the Eagles game's out of basically in the rearview mirror, and he pointed out something very obvious, and that is these two teams could match up again, in the playoffs. And I got to think that if that's the case, you would prefer Jalen Ramsey was not wearing Philadelphia Eagles green.
True. I guess that was me subconsciously thinking that we will implode the second half of the season and we won't see you guys with that well wish. So I kindly snatch it back.
Hey, every opportunity to do so will be coming your way, but I want to talk about another really weird situation in football right now, and that's the Todd Gurley thing in Los Angeles. He's getting really frustrated with touches. Only touched the ball 11 times last week, down from 23 and a half last season. What in the world is going on with Todd Gurley?
I don't know. It was like there was a promise, and that promise isn't being fulfilled. And I think there's two broken promises. One is, we're protecting the body for, a long career. You have a long career. And I'm talking in reference to the limited carries in the Super Bowl. And so we that happens. And then we, all whole off season, we get to camp and we're hearing this thing in camp, like Todd Gurley is back to, TG3. This would just be TG30. Would just be ready to see it again, taking off. And now, it's not that it's a lack of production as much as it is a lack of load, and I don't know what that means behind the scenes, but he's a downhill guy. He's explosive. He can definitely one cut, two cut, but he has to build up on his carries, more typical to the workhorse backs we've seen in the past, and he's not allowed to do that. We're not even seeing him introduced as much in the passing game, which he's an asset. So this has to be bigger than what we think it is, and it could come down to getting ready to. I think we talked about this one show, getting ready to cut ties.
Yeah, the passing game's an interesting aspect too. Last week was the first time he was really heavily involved. 7 catches to only 5 carries, but the thing of it is, even when he's getting carries, he's not being productive. Week 1, 14 carries for 97 is 6.9 yards per carry. Hey, that's great. Todd Gurley looks awesome. But if we remember, Todd Gurley had a terrible first half.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came on a big carry in the second half.
Right.
Week 2 against New Orleans, 16 carries, 63 yards, 3.9 per carry. Week 3 against Cleveland, 14 carries, 43 yards, 3.0 per carry. Week 4 against Tampa, the the weird 15-point loss to the Bucks, 5 carries, 16 yards, 3.2 yards per carry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to argue again, man. When you put in my face like that, it's really hard to argue those numbers. And it makes me think, okay, so this has to be something that is carrying over. He doesn't look different, though, Chris. That's the thing that throws me off. I think if he looked a step slower, or if he looked like he was out of rhythm, it's just now it looks like lack of production.
I don't know. I feel like if you have Todd Gurley, you use Todd Gurley, as long as there's not something wrong with Todd Gurley, which makes me think there's something wrong with Todd Gurley. We know he's got the knee issues, and we knew he'd kind of be pitch counted, potentially even for the rest of his career, but I didn't think it would be like this quickly.
Yeah, me neither. I actually had faith in the coaching staff, Sean McVay, that they would do right by him and, what is right by him. But, really protect him and then get ready to pitch count him. And then after 4 weeks, you kind of want to know what you have in your guy, your stud. And we're seeing it. We're seeing, kind of what we saw when they lost the receiver,
Cooper Kupp.
And it's like, these are players that play a pivotal role in your offense, and they help establish a certain level of preparation. They help establish a certain level of expectation so that you can run your other stuff, your lateral stuff, your motion stuff. And when that isn't happening, it is curious. I don't want to go as far as to say something's wrong with them, but you do have to start to think about it if they're not using them in that way. Because why not if you're a McVay, right?
Well, exactly right. And I do think we anointed Sean McVay and the football god a little bit too quickly. But Gurley on pace for 196 carries, which would be a career low, 876 yards, which would be a career low. Yeah, just squeaking by that 885 season in 2016. And I guess we've seen this before from Todd Gurley when we were thinking, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with Todd Gurley? That 2016 season, 278 carries, 885 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. And I know there were some lingering injury issues, but man, I don't know. I would be concerned if I were a Rams fan.
I mean, I'd be concerned either way it goes, right? I mean, with Gurley looking the way he's looked, and then you've got what happened on this past Sunday. You're like, okay, is this what we have to look forward to if Gurley's not playing well?
That's true. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hello, football fans. Now, are you an Amazon Prime member? Did you know that you have Thursday Night Football through Amazon Prime? That's right. Thursday Night Football has returned to Prime Video for a third season. And the cool thing is you can catch all the action on your TV or the web or on your mobile device. The experience is next level. Watch Prime Video's X-Ray feature and you can access, this is really cool, next-gen stats, play history, and team information. And it is all available on iOS and Android, Fire tablets, and Fire TV. Seriously, it's very cool. And if you're ready to hear a new take on the game, you can switch over to Sport Broadcast Legends, Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer for play-by-play. So if you don't have cable, you're one of those cord cutters, or you simply want to experience the future of football, tune in this Thursday. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and kickoff is at 8:20 Eastern. Also available on Fox and the NFL Network simulcast subject to change. Thursday Night Football is presented by Bud Light Platinum. Exciting football action continues on, and Daily Fantasy at Yahoo is better than ever this year. Yahoo Daily Fantasy just released a new $500,000 contest, the $500,000 Baller, that has a first place prize of, get this, $50,000. You have to check it out today. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Football has new contests every week with guaranteed cash prizes. Even if you don't score a perfect lineup, you can still walk away from the game with a little bit of cash in your pocket. Get started now at yahoo.com/dailyfantasy. That's yahoo.com/dailyfantasy. And when you make that first deposit, use the promo code POD25 for $25 in free play. That's POD25 as your promo code for $25 in free play at yahoo.com/dailyfantasy. All right, Mario, we're back. I've been interested to talk to you about this since this news came out today. And that is the Percy Harvin situation. Percy Harvin came out and said there was not a game I played in where I wasn't high. How, as someone who has played football his entire life at, from high school to college to professional and various professional leagues, how many guys have you been around who it was clear that they were high during games?
I mean, with Percy, it's one of those messenger things, right? Because we kind of got the same message from Calvin Johnson not too long ago, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago,
and Chris Long.
I wouldn't go as far as Chris Long, and I wouldn't go as far as to say it was swept under the rug, but if Percy Harvin says it, I think there's more of a of course, of course that makes sense, but I think it's a practice similar to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who just adamant about it. I think it's a thing where, like any other thing, it's how you function. And if its overuse starts to intervene with what you're capable of doing day to day or what your profession is, right. Some people operate better. They say operate better. Maybe he needed more focus. Obviously, he was a migraine magnet. And had to eventually stop playing because of it. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that has something to do with it. Although I would think that he was doing this prior to the migraines flaring up. I don't know if he's had them his whole life, but it's a thing that I think is across the board in the league. I don't think you'd find. I think you could find one person. This is a big comment actually. You could find one person in each position group on each team that could in some way say this is what they do.
For me, Carson Wentz. Wentz just high all the time. I'm guessing meth.
Carson Wentz. If it's meth, it explains how he almost the rookie of the year in the MVP season, and also crashes out by the end of the season. It's like you're on that meth high, you're unstoppable. No, you can see everyone and no one at the same time. You can run super fast, and then you're like, I'm very sleepy and I can't feel anything.
Is there a meth high? I don't know. Obviously, I'm kidding about Carson Wentz both doing drugs and being on meth, but the marijuana thing is interesting because. I've said this in the past. I don't know that it should be illegal in the NFL. I think we're trending towards a place in society where it is, it's universally legal. I think we're probably going to be there within 10 years. And it's the thing about it is not a performance enhancing drug. And those are the ones we're trying to weed out. No pun intended.
I was please, can you instead say pun intended? Because if so, well played.
Yeah, if only I were that smart. What is the negative to allowing it if you're the NFL?
I think
it's cultural.
It's cultural and societal stigma. I think it just before, and like to be fair to the league and to many other things, before it was just a no-brainer, right? You kind of just say, yeah, we can't have guys, like a job or anything else. It was kind of like, duh, like what do you put on the list of things people can't do? And you're going to throw drugs on there, So I don't want to dig any deeper than that. Just because before, just as a whole in society, it made sense. And now, of course, as we're learning more and more things about more and more things, I think it's really time to re-examine. And like you said, in 10 years or maybe a little less, it'll be a non-issue in society. So maybe that'll follow suit in the NFL.
Fair enough. Hey, season 2 of Talk About It, the mental health podcast, debuted a couple of weeks ago. For those who have not heard the show, what's been going on this season?
So this season, we're really, really taking a deep dive into, personal experiences, bringing guests on who are connected to those personal experiences. Asia and I, again, being former athletes, and what what life can be like and what signs you can see and feel. We've had most recently Kevin Fisher, who went from the business world into as the mental health field as the executive director of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, because his son, a former athlete at one of the more highly touted, prestigious high school football programs in Michigan in the Midwest, actually was diagnosed with a mental illness and then unfortunately took his own life. And that kind of changed the course of Kevin's life. So that's the kind of stuff we want to get into in season 2. More experiences, more stories to tell about how, guys like Percy Harvin or Calvin Johnson or whoever live with this, with what they're dealing with, whether it come from sport or their personal lives, and how we all can relate.
Very cool. Well, again, if people haven't listened to that, it's available on the website, on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and anywhere you get your podcasting needs met. A couple more things on the docket here, and I think this Denver Broncos situation is becoming more and more interesting by the week. There's a lot of talk about should the Broncos start dealing their vets, guys like Chris Harris Jr. and, of course, Von Miller. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, now at 0-4, and you're wondering what are we gonna do? The Joe Flacco experiment, thumbs down. Even though
Bradley Chubb out for the season.
Yeah, like so you lose your other stud. Now, yeah, it might be time to take stock, take inventory, and see what you can get, and see where you are first, and then see where you can get. And I think now more than ever, before he gets injured, now that that that's a real possibility, you try to move guys around so you can get something back in return and just start the rebuild, because unfortunately for you, Mr. Elway, it came sooner than you thought. It's time for you guys to start over.
Where do you stand on Von Miller specifically? I mean, this is an iconic player in the Denver Broncos history, one of the greatest defensive players in their history, and up there in NFL history. Honestly, Von Miller is an absolute monster. He's a surefire Hall of Famer, and he's not that old. What do you do? Do you try and move him for draft capital, or do you hope he's still productive a couple years from now when you're ready to make another run?
I think you answered the question based on. I mean, you answered the question based on the details. Mm-hmm. What have we gotten out of Von Miller? Actually, since the changing of the guard with Peyton Manning, obviously, Hall of Fame talent, great leader, workaholic, not a problem in the locker room, all benefits to some other team that is ready to win now, and that we're seeing that Von Miller can't move the needle for the franchise right now, with no slight to Von whatsoever. It's the nature of the game, and if Khalil Mack can be traded, if these type of all-time guys can be moved to make sense of an organization, Von Miller's not above that. So again, no slight to Von Miller. It's just the nature of the beast, and especially where football lies now. I think the Broncos need to do this sooner than later, again, to protect themselves and protect Von, because if he gets hurt, he's no good to them or his future in immediate future in football.
And there's another guy in a similar situation over in Cincinnati, one Adriel Jeremiah Green. AJ Green yet to take the field for the Bengals. This team looks just helpless. He could be a couple of weeks away potentially. What do you do? Because there's starting to get to be a lot of smoke to the AJ Green trade talks.
Yeah, so I think AJ behind closed doors has already began this conversation. Just his body language on the sideline.
Yeah.
Obvious. Yeah, I know, right? And the recent history of his own personal struggles with staying healthy, you don't have any more time to waste. If you think at all you can play the game at the level that you've played, you're getting yourself out of there. So I think the Bengals also are a team that has felt success and knows what it looks like and understands that team success is the most important component of sustainable success. So I don't think they hoard AJ Green, especially with the relationship that they should have by now. If this was name is slipping me. The old head coach. I would definitely think
Marvin Lewis.
I would definitely think that this move will be made because Marvin Lewis is just a class act when it comes to handling his players. But I think it may be a little bit of a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching thing to do as a new coach, but it's something that they're going to do as an organization nonetheless. You got to move them because while you can still get something for them.
Do you think Green is more name than player at this point in his career? I mean, it's been a while since that Giants season in 2013 when he had 98 catches. 86 catches in 2015, but then 66, 75, 46 last year in an injury-plagued season. Hurt to start this year. Is AJ Green anymore?
I mean, I think based on I've seen a couple of things that make me believe that he can still play at a high level. One being the very, very short spurts of playmaking ability when he's either been in camp or some short game action. His frame is still the same. I think his work ethic hasn't dropped off. He's a special athlete, and I'm not saying he can be a 98 catch WR1 guy at this point, but it's as close as it's going to get. And if he finds the right system and right coaching situation, I think he could really, go get back to at least Pro Bowl form.
My God, that 2013 season was crazy. Targeted 178 times for those 96 catches and 1,426 yards. That guy is he's a good football player, as me really going out on a limb here. We saw that John Ross got hurt again, just placed on the IR today. Does that? Yeah, I know. Again, that guy cannot stay healthy. Does that make it more or less likely that Green gets traded?
I don't think it has that much of an impact on what's going to happen with Green because, and I only say that because of what AJ Green's going to do in the situation. I think AJ Green's going to, for better or worse, force the issue. And I think he's earned the right to do that. So I don't know if it has that much of an impact based on what he feels he needs to do to better his career.
What was your take on Ross? Because I stopped you when you started to say something.
Oh no, I just think it's really odd that like what we thought we were gonna see out of him, like a blazer, big playability going into Cincinnati at a time where you really think that okay, one more piece to the offense, struggling Andy Dalton playoff time, what you're missing is the big play piece, and you either get drops or out of the lineup. So it's just really, it sucks to see because I had a lot of excitement and high expectations when he was drafted there.
Yeah, this team is not encouraging moving forward with or without AJ Green. Joe Mixon has not had the kind of breakout season we'd hoped for at 3.2 yards per carry on 47 attempts for 149. Hasn't found the end zone rushing. Their leading receiver is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's a nice football player. He's not a star, but he's a nice football player. But after that, it looks like Auden Tate, the rookie undrafted free agent out of Florida State, is going to be the other starting receiver. So I guess second year, I apologize, receiver. So while he's built like AJ Green, I don't think we're going to see similar production.
I highly doubt it. And I mean, naming the list off like that, it's like, at this point, what do you expect? And we've tried to figure it out all season who this team is, and now, just like the Broncos, where it hits you in the face sooner than you're ready to realize, is that this team is actually not poised to be competitive in the league, and it's time to reassess and figure out where do you start as far as expanding outward. So what's your base? And you obviously think it's Mixon, right? But he's self-proclaimed underachieving, and it's on him to get the running game going. Well, again, football's not like that. You're a talented kid, but where's it going to come from?
Yeah, this team is quite frankly just really, really bad. I think we had unfair expectations based on the offensive performance week 1, but I just don't see how they're going to score the ball moving forward. Mixon hasn't gotten it going. The offensive line doesn't look good. I mentioned Auden Tate's the number 2 receiver. That leaves probably Alex Erickson to be the slot receiver. There's just not the offensive talent here to compete in the National Football League.
It's not it, and it's such a converse for what we're used to seeing out of, and this is strange even to say, but in the late 2000s, like what we're used to seeing out of Cincinnati. One thing we could have for sure understood is that they were going to have some playmakers on the outside to help them compete, and now it's the complete opposite.
Sure is. We'll be keeping an eye on that as we move forward. But for now, that's been this episode of the Underdog Sports NFL Show. For Chris Horwedel and Mario Hines. He's Mario Hines. I'm Chris Horwedel. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.